What's going on, everyone? We are live with the 16th episode of the Retailer Roundtable.
16.
Yes, we're getting there. We're pushing to 20 someday in 4 weeks. So this week was a little bit interesting for us. This was our first week actually getting stuff from UCS. We had been using Diamond prior to because we still had stuff coming from Diamond as far as our retailer exclusive. So we figured we'd ride out with them until that was over, and we did. And so now we are with UCS, and it was a fantastic experience, I must say. It really was. Not a single damaged book, not one.
Even the LCS and down from us, no damages either.
So what was different about your experience with getting all of this coming directly from UCS? Was it the packaging?
The packaging was much better. The box sizes were accurate to what was packed inside it. Not getting me one book in one of their big cartons. And then, they used bubble wrap, which, I don't know if they'll continue to use bubble wrap. I don't know that it's necessary per se. But just the amount of interior packaging that they had to keep the books from bouncing off shit. And plus they had some of the books, they had them, packaged together in another thing to keep them held up, much like we do here. So, I mean, you can tell shipping books is what they do. It's not just shipping freight or shipping product. They ship comic books.
And I'm assuming that the bubble wrap that they use, and this, for some people, they won't care, but to me, it's very interesting. I think from what I've seen, the bubble wrap they use is not like the bubble wrap that anybody would go to Walmart and get, but it's actually one of the machines that produces the bubble wrap where It's flat, it fills it with air. That's actually the best bubble wrap material that you can absolutely get. I mean, you can't.
Those machines are so expensive. So expensive.
Yeah, it's great bubble wrap. I mean, you wrap glass in there and ship it, and it'll stay safe. So I don't think they'll deter from that because, I mean, honestly, my opinion is I think that opening that box and seeing that bubble wrap immediately makes you think these were packed with care.
Yeah,
and that's part of it, right?
Well, that's the bubble wrap Midtown's been using forever at this point. Yeah. I've been in the shipping stations when and that's what they've been using. So the fact that they're using that for UCS also, just like, that's a vote of confidence that I like, that I've seen is safe, and that's the best way. And that's how they send out the comps too. That's how a lot of comps go with creators and stuff. So it's good that they're following through on that.
Yeah, and CGC mails out their books when they bubble wrap. They use that same bubble wrap, if I'm correct, Rich. If you've seen
sometimes
plastic, sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes I've gotten the random package from CGC with the Frankenstein bubble wrap. Like, it's like the small bubble wrap, the big bubble wrap, the green bubble wrap ones.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I think the big thing is that, this is something that we shouldn't care about. We should say, oh, this is normal. But we've gone through this process of me for 10 years, Corey, JJ, all this stuff that we are so used to, okay, how many damages did we get instead of not even talking about damages? And so I think in a month we'll get used to this and it will be normal. I think with all the changes happening in Diamond, the huge changes, I mean, from the top down to the bottom or bottom to top, whatever you want to call, they're then be using these little things to retool themselves. And if they don't do what we're talking about, then that will be something people will be discussing instead of even the comics. The package. No, let's talk about comics. Comics are in this great box. Let's fill these boxes. Let's get these out to the floor. And I think that's the cool thing that they have brought this is back to normal selling. So we don't have to worry about what is considered small things in the real world. In our world, it's considered big things.
Yep.
It goes back to what you said too before, Jesse. Both of us talking about the business world. I mean, you don't want damages. You don't want things to be sent back. It costs your business money. So if you can spend a little bit more to make sure that it's an anomaly to have damages, which of course damages are always going to happen, but the end result is damages cost your company money.
Yes.
So yeah, it is interesting that we are talking about it, like you said, because it's always been something that's been the bane of the existence of any comic retailer. They get in that $100 1 in 100 variant and it's smashed or something.
Yeah.
And I've heard the horror stories. I've seen it myself. And it's just disheartening to see the look on that retailer's face at that time, waiting to hope that someone replaces it. So I think it's great the way that they're going through it. I know that Corey was like over the moon about it. And I think that that's exciting, right? Because it's not only, he wasn't excited about the comics, which we know he loves the comics, but he was excited about that box coming in and it being a solid box, packed well, ready to go, and it's merchandise he can get out to his customers. So, and the people that are coming in, you know, type thing for the usual retail. So that's amazing, I think, all the way around. Kudos to UCS.
I mean, the thing I love about it is that all these retailers that are worried, oh, you know, UCS and Lunar, they're going to do stuff for themselves and all of our books are going to be, you know, whatever. And it's nice to see there was a follow through and respect to other retailers to take care of these things and make sure everybody got what they needed and that it's packed well. And that is a small thing, but it's also a big thing.
And that's the thing too, is, you know, that's what Greg and I do for Art Journal Collectibles. You know, we ship books, an absorbent amount of books. Obviously, we're not on the level of a, you know, UCS or even, you know, some of the top retailers in the country, because we are specialized in the artists that we do. Like that artist down. Yeah, that guy. See that guy? Yeah.
Oh, wow,
we ship that book. Yep. You know, it's awesome to see that, to know that, you know, we take care in doing the things that we do. We have a very low damage rate. If it is, it's because someone decided to fold the book in half and put it in a mailbox, which we try to make near impossible. But, you know, it does. It lights me up to see that, because that's my craft. That's what we do. And to see that our distributor for DC Comics now has the same, I guess, pride in the way that they ship their books. It makes you feel good. And it reaffirms, you know, the DC's decision, in my opinion, that they made the right decision. They did what they needed to do. Now, I'm not saying that Diamond needs to go away. I think Diamond needs to make revamp and do some other things to sort of get on that par, now that they see, now that everybody sees how books should be shipped. Mm-hmm. I think Diamond, I hope Diamond, because you never want to see any company in comics go away ever.
Right.
You know, I hope that they revamp the way they do things and step up their game, so that, you know, maybe someday in the future they can get that monopoly back. You know what I mean? At least make a run for it. Sure.
And I think the big thing about it is listen to the chatter. There is no chatter. And when you have the three, whatever you want to call them, aren't even talking about DC Comics, who have yelled and screamed for the last 6 weeks, haven't said a chirp. Why? Because reality is here, and reality is our job is to sell books. Our job is to work with our partners. Our job is to be able to be transparent, and our job is also to move forward. And I think a lot of customers will like the fact that they won't be saying, well, DC didn't do this or DC didn't do that. They'll be saying, how can I sell you one more comic?
Mm-hmm. And I just want to add in, from the shipping perspective, I've received stuff from everybody here. You know, I've never had an issue receiving stuff. I've received stuff from the Jesse James Binge Bar on Comic Book Shopping Network, packed extremely well. Everything, you know, no damages or anything, and I didn't expect them to be that way. But I'd also say, when I get stuff from Archer, I mean, this is, you know, a lot of times when you get stuff in the mail, you're always like, okay, there's got to be a bend somewhere. Right. Somehow the corner's got to be creased. I'm not kidding. When Art Journal Collectibles, I get something from them, this is no joke. Every single one of them is wrapped in paper, like I'm opening a present to some extent, because they want to protect the integrity of the book. But then everything's oversized also. So it's like every single thing is treated like it's $1 million. And so when I open that up and I see these things, and by the way, I want to show these off because they're just so gorgeous. You know, you can go to Art Journal Collectibles, you can get these. It's just the fact that, I mean, the quality is there, you know. Right. So kudos to Greg and Corey. I mean, I think they do an amazing job for Stan, and I think that it's just really reassuring that you can order from people, and that's what builds that customer base. Not only is it a brilliant cover and it's awesome, but the fact that you get them in and they're in beautiful condition. I don't know. Yep. I mean, there's something that always has to be said about that, and you know, I don't know. It's the same for you, Jesse. When stuff comes in, it's always nice for me. Or if Rich sends me things, I mean, Rich knows how to ship things too. So I think there's something to be said about that. And I think that we all four of us right now realize how important it is when we get things in the mail or things that come in, even for our own personal collection. We look at it, we examine how someone mailed it to us, and we think, oh, I would never do that. I can't believe this survived. But then we remember when Art Germ Collectibles or Jesse James or Rich sends me something and I get it in the mail and I'm like, yeah, they know how to ship things. I mean, there are people that I deal with. Chris Martin is a dear friend of mine. It takes me 25 minutes to open his packages.
Yeah, sure.
You know, because
I did a video earlier today where it took me 6 minutes to open up 2 packages.
Right. And you sit there and you think, oh my goodness, you know. And you know what I love is I can reuse that packing material, which is always good, right? But at the same time, I'm like, the excitement, I can feel my heart racing, like, oh my goodness, did you have to? Like, okay, what is this tape for? Where does it even go?
Right. Sure.
At the end
Uh-oh. Did we lose him? Okay, there we go.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the big thing that we've learned on our eBay store. We've shipped out over 140,000 packages in our 10 years. And you learn a very simple thing. No sale is done until the customer gets their book. But then reality has come to the moment of now. We have over 25 to 30 mail calls done live on shows, whether it be on Collector's Corner or on their private pages. So we're under the gun that, holy cow, I hope that got there correctly because they're showing this stuff live. You know, Augie, one of our best customers, he's showing 200-300 comics that we ship him at once, one at a time. And we're like watching, kind of saying, okay, cool. But yeah, okay, made there. Okay. So we're, you know, now to a position where people are doing these live mail calls. And that's really where you got to really come to play. So you have to assume that every single comic you ship is being done on a live mail call.
And dude, that's one of the things I'd say to retailers that are shipping or just, you know, new retailers that are breaking into this online game. You know, it don't worry if something is, you know, if it costs you another 75 cents to ship a package, spend it, because spending that 75 cents package may gain you 6 customers, 7, 8, 9, 10 customers, because someone said how well you pack. And you don't have to send that book back. And then, you know, or if you have to replace it, or in our case, you know, you don't have that extra cost. Because if you try to skimp and you try to risk to get and buy things, it's going to bite you in the ass, because not every package is going to make there in good condition.
Now, one thing with the UCS, Jesse, did you get your shipment fairly earlier than you expected with that?
Yes. Well, so what you want to do is, folks, if you're with UCS, you need to pick the zone that you want it shipped on. So we were getting our stuff Tuesday and Wednesday. We switched zones and we got our stuff on Friday. So, you know, I'm fine with getting my stuff on Monday. I mean, obviously, if we get on Friday, we just let it sit. But the notion that if the product is there, we'll then get this out to you, I think is very important. We need to have high integrity on the stores out there. There was a store on Saturday selling their stuff live, and I went right into their show and literally said, dude, I'm going to PM you on the rules for DC, and he stopped immediately. So we have to make sure that we police our friends and let them know, because some of them just forget. You know, that's one of the things. We'll use the word forget, and because we don't want that taken away. Yeah. And so I think the notion that they're getting the product out to you early, they're packing it right, they're doing everything that a company around the world does with other companies. And so, yes, it's awesome that we got it early. We're able to double check stuff, take our time pulling boxes, and we don't have that race game to try to get everything out, in our case, on pictured to our binge bar page and all that. And so I think having a relaxed moment of getting books out is fantastic.
Yeah, so we would spend a Tuesday, having to do the whole shipment. So I think it makes it easier, because the shop over here got theirs on Friday. We got ours on Monday, so that gives you more time to where you don't have to do a full 12-hour Tuesday now, you can kind of do it with shops still being closed and curbside. Is
sure.
Process it while you're open. Don't give it out till next week still. But
I think that also gives the wholesaler the time, instead of trying to force everything out so that you have everything by Tuesday, the way it's been for the last 10 years, 15 years. So I think there's a lot of packaging science going on right now. So.
Which I question at that point, if we can get them this early, why wasn't that happening with Diamond and stuff like that? And
well, I think that's a simple answer. You're dealing with 50 publishers that are all being mixed into one, where DC is just focused on their product. 2 awesome companies shipping it out, and I think that makes it much easier.
Yeah.
Yep.
June, to answer your question, Tuesdays. DC goes on sale on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I'm wondering with DC going on sale Tuesdays. I've seen these Marvel covers. Did they come out this week or did they come out next week? The ones where they say Wednesday is New Comic Book Day.
Is that those blank ones that just have the writing in the middle of it?
Yeah.
Easter eggs.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, how long Marvel's going to hold to that. Is that
they have to now? They printed it on a comic.
I think sales numbers will determine that. If DC starts doing this big overtake or something like that, and Marvel sees a dip, then they're gonna be like, you'll see your Tuesdays are when Marvel sells comic Easter egg covers.
Absolutely,
right.
And that's called making double the money.
Yep, exactly.
They got another version you can put out.
Eating your crow and making money off of it, I guess.
Yep.
Do those Wednesday variants jump up in price when Marvel switches to Tuesday?
Not at all.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Probably could be. Yeah. I don't know. But has there been anything else you guys have seen kind of around the industry? Anybody? I noticed there was I've seen some Facebook posts. I don't know who it was, but somebody got a Bill Sienkiewicz CGC book in from some, I don't know. I think they said it was from UCS.
Yeah, UCS. Yeah. So basically what happened was UCS, and I said I want to talk about this because I don't know the stores that got these and didn't. I kind of was all joyful and started calling stores and realized I was the only store that got this out of the 10 stores I called. So I don't know what those stores are doing right now if they're calling UCS. But basically they sent us and I was looking for it so I could show it to you guys. They sent us an awesome letter saying thank you for taking the chance to come with us before anybody else did. And it was a long letter, and it was a thank you letter. And with that came a CGC, and it was 9.8. 9.8, and it was their way to say thank you to the stores that came early. So you got this letter from UCS, and then you got a CGC and it literally says do whatever you want with it. That's what most companies do. When I was with my previous company and I had 25,000 vendors, we actually had to police how much free stuff we got because we got so much stuff. And I think they're just following protocol on how do we thank these stores that took these chances. Now, I didn't take a lot of chances because I wasn't with Diamond, but there was a lot of stores that took a big beating the first month for switching over and going to DC. So it's much appreciated, and the stores that did get them are very excited about their partnership.
Well, and it's deserved, in my opinion. People that were willing to take that chance to go with it. I mean, every business practices it, like you said. Even we do. Not necessarily to our original customers, because it's really hard to tell who the original customers were. But you see customers that, return customers, the customers that have placed, 40, 50, 60 orders, you give them a break. You send them something free. Customer appreciation. It's natural and standard in the industry as far as I can tell. Or at least we practice it. I don't know if everybody else.
On your 20th order, you get a cool thing.
Yeah.
What kind of cool thing?
Yeah.
Sell me on this now.
I draw something on that white paper that the book's wrapped in.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Banana, isn't it?
Fruits or vegetables?
Yeah. So in the outside industry, it's called spiffs. where companies send people Smiths, and they say, listen, thank you for your business. This is what we're doing. And so companies would actually come on floors when I was with Nordstrom in Seattle and whatever we're selling Bruno Magli, and they'd give spiffs to all the salespeople. Every time they sold a Bruno Magli, here's $10 or here's lunch or whatever it is. And I think we're kind of going in that phase. Right now, I'm working with about 7 or 8 independent small press companies that, when we order 20 books, we're getting 30 books. And that's the way you do it. So.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, for me personally, industry-wise, I've been, to change topics a little bit, being in New York and stuff like that, we hit phase 3 for New York City this week. So most comic shops and most retail shops are open now. And I'm curious to see what that looks like if foot traffic can return to like a normal state. That's been like kind of a weird sticking point because New York was the worst at one point.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we're like one of the best things right now.
Yeah.
Now we're the world champions of COVID, baby.
You are the world champions. And I was surprised it wasn't Florida to begin with. But I'm curious to see once these shops open more, once more of these things go on, how the foot traffic returns back to the stores and what that looks like, like that's something I'm a little curious about. All these people touching books. It was something I know I talked about like weeks ago on this thing when it first started. Like, I'm waiting for like that news story where it's like a comic book shop causes a COVID outbreak somewhere.
Right. Well, that's already happened in Arizona with the 2 surrounding stores around me. And both have had to close for COVID. Both stores had employees that had it. And that's why we are unable to reopen, because those customers are now trying to shop with us. And we're like, no, you've been at that shopping at that store that just closed. So we have another full month that we won't be open to the public. And what we notice is with our private shoppers, which are the binge bar guys that come in, they pick up their stuff. Obviously, they're wearing masks and all that. When they're in their store, they spend a lot of money. They're very, they almost, it's kind of like going out to, in my case, Sizzlers. They're like excited. Oh my gosh, I better take this time and buy some good stuff.
Sure.
Well, and I think that goes to your point, Jesse. I mean, if you're going to go to the comic shop, I know for my local shop here, they don't want you to come and loiter all day. They don't, they'd love to sit and talk, and they love that. And pre-COVID, that was a huge thing, and we all know that. But kind of have a mission when you're going into a shop. Pick up what you need to pick up. If you need to call ahead, order that stuff, set it aside. But really, shops want you in and out. I mean, we can all help each other by getting our product, getting in, getting out, still, exchanging pleasantries, all of those good things. But the limited exposure in a shop is good for those employees and the other people that are around in that shop. So, I think, one of the things when we first started this, it was talking about conventions, and it was talking about when things would reopen, and it was talking about all that. Again, I almost feel like when we talk about COVID, it's almost a political thing now. And so none of this is a political thing for me to say, or at least I'm not attempting to do it.
Right.
But I do feel we are entering into this phase. My wife is a school teacher. I have 2 boys that are in high school. We were on a walk today discussing the difficulties of reopening schools. And I sit here and think about that with comic shops, that as we see the numbers go up, as we're seeing more municipalities and states starting to put more and more restrictions, we're kind of getting back to where we were prior. As we know, the numbers are going up. The latest news I saw said 200,000 deaths by November is their projection. I don't think anyone's looking at a convention. I'm hearing, some people say they don't even think there'll be some in 2021. I don't know if that's true or not. But I know we were thinking we'll be back in fall. We'll be back in, early spring next year. We'll be back in all these things. And yet we're kind of going backwards as a country with this. I don't know how that'll affect comics, but I could see some areas where it's going to be very difficult. Rich has lived through that for the past 5 months, whatever it may be, 4 months, where there are no comic shops open to go buy things, or your major shops are not open.
Yes, truly it is hell on earth.
Yeah, I mean, so we could see that more and more. So Jesse, you've been one of those shops that has taken the time to say, look, we're just going to put pause on this, right? We're going to pause on the general public coming in. We're going to be responsible. For every one of you, there's 10 people that generally aren't doing that.
Right.
And so I do think that it's very amazing. I'll just say this, that for one, people can't wear a mask, which always amazes me to no end. And here in South Dakota, I see it like crazy, which is amazing. But at the end of the day, I think we have to realize that we're still really on a teeter-totter. Yes, this week's DC comics look great coming out. Batman, Harley Quinn, all of this, Justice League, all this great stuff. And then we've got the Marvel stuff coming out with Empire. We're getting on that train of moving again and moving again and moving again. And I just hope that we don't see a slowdown or a shutdown or a back off of things. I really hope we don't. But it's going to take everybody in our community and other communities to really, try and mitigate the spread, stop it from going where it needs to go. And I don't know. It's just interesting because I don't think it's any of the age demographics here necessarily. But I know it's been pretty crazy for a lot of the youngsters, not following those protocols and such. So I don't know. I guess I just don't think
our demographic.
What's that?
I said there's been a few Karens in our demographic that have.
Yeah. I just don't think that the story's over. And I think that we started this out of the COVID thing more than anything. We started this out of the diamond thing. And I think every week we still have it as a touchstone for what we're trying to get out to people and talk to people. So I think I would really tell people that when they are able to go to their comic shop and they're only in there for 5 or 10 minutes to pick up whatever, take that moment to think how lucky you are to be able to go into that shop, pick that stuff up right now, and realize that it's a blessing that we're able to do that and be able to go into that business. Because I think we could be in another one of those free falls eventually. And I don't think that's unrealistic to say that
no.
We could be in another one of those situations where we're shutting down states again. I mean, look at the boys to my upper left are both in Florida right now. I mean, look what's going on there. And that's scary.
Yep. I think I'm kind of in the third market where we really don't use eBay. We're not watching any sites that tell you where prices are. We're in the moment. We're in the now. And what we faced on not just the 23 stores on Comic Book Shopping Network is we're running out of books. And so we're working across the nation. We're actually doing a universal buying tour where we're literally saying, we don't care what you're selling. We will just take it. Give us your worst books in your inventory. We will take it because we are now in this third world where people are just like, listen, I want something new. And when they say new, I'm not talking about coming out this week, new to them. Listen, our number one selling comic last week was Awesome Comics. And when you're selling Awesome Comics for anywhere from 20 to 120 bucks now, that's telling you something that this shift has happened because you can go on eBay and you can buy these books for $5, $10. Those customers don't care. They're in their houses. They want to spend money. They want to feel they're having fun because they're surrounded by, we had a show last week that had 1,100 viewers. And when someone buys something, you're kind of like on the pedestal there. And you're saying, oh my gosh, I bought this, Black Panther number 17. Really no value, but to that group, it creates that value for that person that bought it. So I think we have so many different directions the comic book world can go. My concern is comic book stores that just wait for Wednesdays or just wait for Tuesdays, and they kind of sacrifice those other 5 days, where if their goal is to stay open, they're going to have to learn how to sell 7 days a week. And it can't just be on one genre of the business, new issues. It has to be everything else.
And there's still stores closing.
Yeah.
Up until a couple of days ago, like another few stores closed. So it's still a very real thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Jesse, you definitely speak the truth.
Yeah, and we've made offers to the stores that close, and it's amazing when I hear the stories. I talked to one guy, and it was 74 long boxes, and we were talking about, and he's like, "Well, you don't want any of this stuff. It's all dead books." I'm thinking your dead books are awesome books for us. I think my new thing is. If you bring it, I'll sling it. And that's basically the notion that we're going with, is every book is a good book to someone.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love that. Well, and it, it's what I've always said in my little group of people that I hang around with, we've always said it, you got to hustle every day. You got to hustle. you know, and it sounds wrong, but it's not. It's really the premise of what we based a lot of this around was Jesse coming on and saying, yeah, we know you do good on Wednesdays, you know, high five, do good on Monday.
Yep.
The point here is that the online market for selling stuff is crazy, whether it be Comic Book Shopping Network, whether it be eBay, whether it be Instagram, whether it be whatever, people want product. And
Yep.
so if you've got the availability and you don't get too tired too easy or take naps daily, you should have plenty of time to get that stuff up, get it out the door, and keep moving it. I mean, I don't think that I've ever remembered a time where people wanted more things, and things that I have often undervalued or thought, no one's going to want this. I'll give you a perfect example. It's not a comic, but I sold an AFA graded Rogue One figure of K2SO today. I listed it the other day. I thought, oh, this was one of the worst mistakes I invested in, was sending a bunch of these off and getting them graded, right? And I'm like, I'll put it up for $75. Day later, someone bought it for $75. I mean, I made tons of profit off of that. But again, I looked at that, as you said, Jesse, dead stock. Yep. To me, that was stock that I didn't really even give a chance to sell, because I thought, who's going to be interested in this? There's always somebody interested in something. Awesome comics, you know, profit. It doesn't matter what it is. Someone is out there looking for it. And I think a lot of it is people are looking for the next big thing. And people are also looking for the next thing that they can bring back that reminds them of the happy times. And so for a lot of that, that's 90s books. You know, we talked to Corey, it's Cable. You know, for Greg, it's Nightwing. I mean, you know, so it's a lot of that different. Cyborg Superman for Rich. You know, all of that stuff. I've heard all of them talk about how much they enjoy that. Or Jesse, you'll buy collections, and I'm seeing you holding up, you know, 1980s toys, early 1980s toys, candy toys, and things like that I remember. And you're like, this is the greatest find ever in the collection. And I'm thinking, you're right. It is. You know, it's one of those unique things. So I think everyone's looking for that thing that makes them happy. And it's not always new comic books. It's something that they really just have their eye on. They've wanted to pull the trigger on. And now someone's bringing it to the market for them. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me people want.
Greg gave me this. It made me happy.
What's that?
Greg gave me this today. It made me happy.
There you go.
It's one of those shitty plastic Blue Lantern rings, but I love this thing.
Yep.
I want all of them, so I can just sit there with all and Lobo this thing.
So you and Greg are going steady now, huh?
We are. We are. It's official. You know, we started going steady on the same day that our buddy Kel New got married.
Yeah.
Way to steal Kel's thunder.
I mean, you know.
What am I doing Facebook?
So
yeah.
So I posted something a couple of days ago, and the bashers literally did not see what I posted, and it is about Cyberfrog and the dollar amount that I hit. It had nothing to do with EVS. It really had to do with, look, you can go out and you can create something, and you can go to the general public, find 8,600 people that want that. A good portion of them bought this in the 90s, and so it's a prime example that anything can be successful if the customers are aware of it. And if you get the customers aware of it, it's just like going through that collection. Yeah, I can show the New Mutants 98, or I can show the candy trash can. What is that? Oh my gosh, cool. Another First Parents of Gideon, who great, whatever. Oh, that trash can, I remember it. And that's how sales work. People want to be able to relate to you and know that the big dollar stuff isn't as important as something that actually strikes a memory in someone's head.
Nostalgia is powerful.
So powerful.
Because as much as you push new stuff, the new stuff might remind you of something that you remembered from back in the day, you know, and that's what's going to that's how all these books blew up, because of the movies. They kept pushing stuff that you remembered from as a kid, you know, where it's like, oh, we are going to do a Deadpool movie. I love Deadpool. Now I'm going to, New Mutants 98 jumps up. You know what I mean? Same thing with like books now. You come out with a new book and it reminds you of some book from back then, reminds you of that other thing and that other thing. So nostalgia, especially in this industry, is more powerful than the new stuff.
Murat Michaels has built a career on nostalgia.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, that he found a way to just turn that into printing his own mint at that point. I mean, it just working on nostalgia from covers. I'm not cover swipes. They're legit homages because he doesn't, trace it. It's not swipe.
And they're awesome.
Turns him into his character and actually does, a very good job at homaging covers.
Murat actually homaged one of my Midtown covers, and I felt more honored by that than the book doing well when I saw that, and I was like, so it's it's like the instant nostalgia with it. It's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I get to work with him about every other day, and it's funny because we have a slew of, I think, 7 more exclusives coming out with him, and really it came down to how I grew up, what I listened to, and that's what we're doing. And it really didn't come down to, oh my gosh, my customers are that. It was kind of like, cool, I get to do stuff. You're only doing a 50 print run. And so you're not really, losing anything if you don't. Now we know we're going to sell out. That's a thing. But to be able to do Iron Maiden covers over the next, 5, 6, 7 of them, that really goes into enjoying this industry and actually doing stuff that kind of relates to your whole life, really.
Sure.
Yeah, and we've talked about Murat at length too. About first off, we know he's one of the greatest guys in the hobby, in the industry, and he's been around a long time too. But he's also one of the nicest, most welcoming people that you know. He remembers everybody, and we talked about the print-on-demand aspect during this entire thing, where if you're out there and you're able, and you're a Ryan Kincaid, a Nathan Zerdy, a Murat Michaels, any of these guys that have the ability to get things printed. And print them quick and get them ready to go. It just shows that they can handle it. I mean, they have the wherewithal to go to a printer, to tell a printer what they want, how they want it done, and to get it going. And so, Jesse, all of your covers have been awesome. Your Iron Maiden covers with Eddie on there,
right.
they're great. And for you, it's fun. I know it's a big thrill for you to actually have that on the cover too. But it's also neat that your customers love that too.
Yeah.
So, once again, kudos to Murat. I mean, again, seize the moment. And it's if people, I know there's a lot of people that want to do covers with Murat for Deadpool and things like that. And, I think he's working his tail off to make sure he accommodates as many people as he can. So,
speaking of guys that, print on demand, Brian Polito is another guy that prints on demand. And he'll be doing so come Monday for a new Lady Death book with a cover by Art Journal.
Right.
Exclusive for Comic Online.
What?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to act surprised. I already knew this. Rich knew Jesse knew this.
Short-term memory loss. I forgot. It's all
there you go. Yeah.
It's about seizing the moment. There's a desire for books. Everybody wants a book. Everybody wants a convention exclusive. And with Comic Online, we are providing the first convention exclusive since conventions shut down.
Right.
Proof that you don't need a physical convention to actually have these convention exclusives, to have these things. It's awesome. It really is. I fanboy out every time something like this happens. Even though I'm a part of it and I help get it set up, I'm still fanboying out.
Yeah, I think what Brian does is he creates this experience that a lot of publishers and a lot of creators can't do because Brian is so personable. And right now he's doing a live show while we're talking. He's not even talking about Coffin Comics. He's not talking about Lady Death. They're talking about Rush or something like that, or AC/DC. That's Brian as a nutshell. And so Brian has, we always joke around, it's called ABS, and it's Always Be Selling. And Always Be Selling doesn't actually mean you're selling a comic book. It actually means you're selling your brand. You're introducing people to your life and to how you pivot daily. And you also listen to your customers. I think Brian will be the first to tell you that he's extremely excited to do an Art Germ cover. The first one, I couldn't get him off the phone when he told me. So it's great stuff. And I think Brian just is someone who's so far in the future that it will be a while for even someone like myself to catch up to where he is at. And by that time, he'll be off to something else.
Well, that's one of the things that we talked about too when we first unveiled the cover, and I know Rich came on and Greg and Corey and I were all on about it, was that Brian is always kind of at the forefront of all these things. He's seen the top of the mountain. He's been down the mountain. He's been back up to the top of the mountain. He launches successful Kickstarters. He launches a lot of new careers. And the fact that we were able to combine Artgerm, arguably, one of the best artists out there. There's no hesitation on that. If you collect comics, you know who Artgerm is. And typically if there is a cover to pick, you're picking the Artgerm one that's on the wall just because it resonates so well with people. The other part is he's just a fantastic human being. For anybody that's watched Comic Online or any interviews with Corey, he's very caring. He's a teacher. He wants to uplift a lot of people and bring them into this industry. And I think that for us, having it as a Comic Online exclusive in partnership with Coffin Comics is really important. But for us, the coolest moment was to see some of the major mail order companies and physical companies putting it in their mailing list already, offering it on their site, when you literally can just go to Coffin Comics on Thursday starting at noon Eastern, and you can order all the copies you want of the Trade Dress and the Virgin. They're going to be all the way up through Monday. So you can just go in there and order directly from Coffin Comics, which is, to me, the smartest move. I'd rather order direct from the source. That's me personally. It's fun for us to go on eBay and see people want $60 for a book that anybody can buy.
There you go.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even Monday for $20 or $30. So, I always say at the end of the day, be smart, folks. Do a little research. These are not the whole point of this is we wanted people to be able to have something to commemorate this show. And there's nothing better in the world to know that the care and pride that Brian puts into the quality of book he does and the beautiful image that's on the cover. I know that for all of us affiliated with Comic Online, we couldn't have asked for a better book. We couldn't have asked for a better image. We couldn't have asked for, a better storm for all of this to happen. And I think it just
started a little too high. And where do we go from here?
Right.
We're
sure.
Done. That's a wrap.
Yeah. Well, just real quick to show you, I was looking at my top 4 things to sell on a live show. It's Scotty Young covers, Artgerm covers, blank covers, and action figure covers. It doesn't matter what they are, right? It doesn't matter what they are. It's the most craziest thing that's what we now sell. If I say this is Artgerm, they're not asking me what title it is. They're just saying, okay, I'll take it. How many can I get? What's the limit? And so we're in this world where you can hone and master your craft, but at the same time you have to listen to your customer base. And if you just watch trend, they will tell you what to sell. I mean, basically that's what it comes down to.
Well, Corey and I talked about this even before this show, like back 15, 16 episodes ago. Corey, you'll remember I said, man, I think the thing to buy is blank covers right now.
Yep.
You remember that? And I was like,
yeah.
I'd be buying every blank cover I can right now because I theoretically think there's going to be a lot of artists doing commissions and a lot of dudes looking for blank covers, or there's going to be a lot of artists looking for covers that they can work on and sell their things. So I'm noticing a lot of blank covers coming out on a weekly basis. We all know that. But there's still people that have an affinity towards this particular X-Men variant or particular Avengers variant, or the fact that there's only one Ghost Rider variant, type thing. There's certain ones that when they come out, there's only one way to get it. And you never know when they're going to put another new one out. So now we're in the phase of not really even having blank covers. Now we've got colored blank covers.
Right.
Which
right.
adds a new layer to it because some artists don't like to work on those in particular. It wasn't, we've got red, we've got green, but I think there's a lot of excitement to have those different color variants because there's just so much that can be done. And I think once artists get used to it, we're going to see a lot of really cool things. But yeah, all those things you just said is like on point. I mean, Jesse, you could do an entire show with Star Wars action figure variants.
Yep.
And everybody would just gobble them up because everybody loves them. When you see all of them together at one point, or you see a wall of Scotty Youngs, or you see a wall of blank covers. I mean, There is something about it. When a blank cover is amongst a bunch of things that already are filled up, you see it, but you don't really care. But then when you see a bunch of blanks all sitting there, you kind of pay more attention to it because you start comparing them to the other ones that are next to it. So that's amazing. Those 4 things. I think anybody that is paying attention to what Jesse just said, he just gave you 4 things that if you're at a shop and you see cheap boxes, you should be looking for.
Mm-hmm. But and that's so speaking of that, that's one guy that you say the action figure covers, a lot of you don't hear John Tyler Christopher much, and how important he is, and I just kind of give him kudos to the industry,
right?
Absolutely.
Not only in doing those and getting his career pigeonholed into doing something like that, but he's also the very first artist to ever produce his very own exclusive covers. Like he set the trend for what we do, for what for Doug Mankey being able to. Of course, Doug doesn't work for Marvel, but anybody doing things for Marvel, any artist wanting to do their own stuff, even before J. Scott Campbell and all of them, John Tyler Christopher was the guy that got the ball rolling to form the exclusive retailer variant into what it is today.
John Tyler Christopher also, right before the whole world went to hell, had that amazing Wolverine cover at C2E2, which was not an action figure cover.
That's his other pigeonhole.
Those are his negative space covers, which Murat has even been able to have homages to. That's a name, John Tyler Christopher, that would be awesome for us to talk about further, also to reach out, because I don't know if anyone's ever seen the Yoda cover he's done, the Emperor cover. They're not negative space, but they use the background color to fill in. He's amazing.
I had John Tyler Christopher do a Captain America #1 variant for me, but I had him do 11 covers.
Yes.
Because it's 11 different Captain Americas, and when you put all of them together, there's a big American flag in the back.
Oh, wow. Wow. There you go.
Yeah,
great dude. He's super nice.
The box on all the action figures. The guy does the box art for that. I mean, that's a guy that's everywhere in the industry. And industry adjacent.
He found his niche. He's fit in. He's expanded upon it. I think he's a very important part of our modern history of comics, if we consider this our modern history now. He's done a lot and influenced a lot of things, because you see a lot of action figure variants. I mean, I just saw one the other day for Betty or Veronica or something like that, with someone doing something similar to what he's been doing with the Star Wars and the Marvel stuff. So kudos to him. He's awesome all the way around. And those negative space covers, I mean, those things are taking off now. People are finding the love for them. I mean, Wolverine really pushed it up and above. But if anyone's ever seen the Rogue cover he's done, the neon green, it's absolutely amazing. He's done a Spider-Woman one. That one was at, I believe, C2E2.
Black Panther, the Kamala Khan.
The Black Panther's amazing. I mean, all of them are just fantastic. But if you're part of his newsletter, which anybody should go visit his site, John Tyler Christopher, he comes up with his own exclusives for his Star Wars stuff. But he's great about sending out an email, and it's so wordy, but it's not wordy to the point where you're like, oh, he's just filling me with too much information.
Right.
It's like he's directly talking to you.
Yeah.
And so, Jesse, you talk about building a brand or whatever. He's built a brand, and he's also built this brand where it feels like he's communicating with you. He's like, hey, because you bought from me before, I want to make sure that you're able to get in on my next drop and this, that, and the other. I think there's something that's just very poetic about that he understands that, hey, you are the lifeblood of how I continue to make these, and you're very important to my overall success. So, I don't know how we veered into John Tyler Christopher, but kudos to him all the way around. 11 covers, Rich. I remember those very vividly.
I picked all those different versions of Captain America, and it really hurt my brain for like a month.
I bet it did. What else we got? We got any other big time?
Flash getting fired from that Flashpoint movie, maybe.
Flash getting fired. Barry reset the timeline. Now he's not Barry no more.
He ain't no Barry no more.
Yep.
Did he get fired from it?
I don't know if he got fired from it, but I heard he might be getting fired from it.
Yep. Guess who called it last week?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And you also called Flashpoint #1 going up in huge prices. So Flashpoint #1 is rocking and rolling.
Yeah, Batman Beyond #1 jumping up a little bit.
Yeah,
Yep.
we have just seen this renaissance of how much knowledge do you have, and then you realize when you go look at the top 25 for the week, you didn't call any of them. It's amazing. I'm checking in. So I don't know if you guys know this. I think some of you do. I do smell tests on all my Golden Age, Silver Age books, and I can smell them and tell you how many if it's been read, or if it's been read 100 times, it loses its smell. And you start going through all these books, and I've gone through 300. I have a massive headache right now from sniffing comics and all that. But there's this renaissance of now I have to look at every single comic I touch. I have to look at every single series I touch to say, is there a key in this collection? And sure enough, we're going through collections that you would never even, you would just toss aside, and realizing 2-3 books are minor keys or mid keys or now top keys. So our world has changed, and knowledge is what's going to get you to this next phase. And you got to keep on learning. And when you get a box of comics in, folks, look at everything.
Mm-hmm. I have to comment on this because this is the truth. You're a real comic dude when you smell your comics, because I do the same thing.
Yeah.
There is a smell to an old comic that and growing up, you could smell a comic when you entered a store, basically. I mean, you knew how to do it. I laugh when I get old collections in and I take bags off, and those bags are yellow, and everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And I can't help but get that waif of that odor of that old comic.
It's mold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is, but I mean, there is the smell of comic and old paper and all of that stuff. And even Baxter printing paper has a different smell than newspaper. And I know that sounds crazy, but when you've been doing it a long time and dealt with it back in the day when books were printed with actual newspaper, you can smell it. You can tell by the age, by the coloring of it, all of it. And there is a bit of, geez, I feel like it's Watchmen now with the perfume nostalgia or the pills nostalgia, but it does bring back nostalgia at that point.
Sure.
Being able to smell an older comic.
Yeah, can you imagine when Baxter paper came out in 92, 93, Marvel fanfare, people are used to paying 75, 65 cents for a book, and all of a sudden this is $1.50 book. And you're like, oh, it's Baxter paper. And as a 13-year-old, I'm like, I have no idea what this is. I just know this is cool paper, and you're going to love it. So that's
Titans was the big Baxter paper DC book, right? And that was also like, that was going to turn the world on its edge. It's a similar with the Prestige format. Yep. I mean, for anybody that was around when when books like this Art Germ book came out, this was like, you got something like this, and it was a Prestige format, square bound, all of that. It was like, that was incredible at the time. That was Dark Knight Returns. That was, that's what it was for us. And so a lot of these things, look, again, Jesse and I are riffing off nostalgia right now, but that's why you can sell older things.
You guys are high on paper right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesse's going to have his Baxter paper show.
Post today, yeah. Well, what's funny is, just real quick, I posted a picture that we had taken in 1982, and I had actually taken it, and the three of us were fighting for a AF-15. I don't know if you guys saw that picture.
I saw it.
And it was $400, and I didn't get paid in money. I got paid in comic book bags, and I could only get new issues, so I couldn't get the AF-15. And even then, I was only making like $3 an hour. So I had this goal that was mow 400 lawns because I'm sorry, 200 lawns, because I got $2 a lawn, and I got to about the lawn number 10. And I just said, no, I'm not going to do this. But we all have goals in our life that we didn't achieve, and that is one of them right there. So,
all right, guys, we are approaching the end of the hour here. So let's go ahead and move around, and we will get closing statements from everybody. We'll start with Rich.
I am going to go smell every single comic I have this evening, and you should do the same.
Yep.
Wait,
that's it. I got nothing.
The fuck. JJ.
Yes, Rich. You go smell your comics, and I want you to think of me when you're smelling your comics. All right, there he goes. Get him out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we're excited to have everybody. I know Corey will talk about this in a minute. We're excited to have everybody coming on to Comic-Con Line starting on July 9th, which is what, Thursday already? Corey and Greg will be hosting that. We're really excited about that. We have a ton of stuff coming up. We're really nervous, and here's Rich smelling comics. Of course, he'll have like a one from a month ago.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
See, this actually is like one of the oldest comics I do have.
It smells good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't smell terrible.
Smoke it.
There you go. There you go.
It smells good, doesn't it?
It's not terrible.
Yeah, see what you got.
Hey, I'm just saying, tell everybody, grab a short box, blindly pull out 5 comic books. When you pull them out, I guarantee you're the remember where you bought them, how you bought them, how much you bought them, and how many times you read them.
Greg?
Jesse, have you smelled the trade paperback for Supreme Squadron 1 that has the dude's ashes in the ink?
No, I have not, but I accidentally did smell the Ren and Skimpy #1 that I had not opened for about 15 years. It was a bad smell before it opened 15 years ago, and it was 10 times worse now.
And the dude, by the way, Greg, Phil
Mark
Jackson
Grunwald?
of comics, is Mark Grunwald.
Grunwald, yes. I'm sorry.
He knew it.
I wasn't 100% sure on it. I don't want to mess it up.
So, yeah, as DJ was saying, guys, Comic-Con Line in 2 days, starting at 1 p.m. with Tyler Kirkham. And, I mean, be there.
Good jumping off point.
Stuff. You know, if anybody knows Tyler, you know that dude loves to sell stuff, and he's going to have plenty of stuff to sell. And it's just off to the races from there to Mike Mayhew and then John Boy Myers and so on and so forth. I mean, it's going to be a very, very big day, very big week. We're going to have so much stuff for you guys, not just from us, from other creators, from Coffin Comics, Art Germ sketches. I mean, so many sketches are going to be available. The Jokers from Doug Mankey that JJ will be a part of. The stuff from John Romita Jr. We're Rich Coffin. I about fucked your name up, but we're Rich.
Capobianco.
There you go. Anyways, we're Rich will be a part of that, and I mean, it's it's awesome that this stuff has all come together, and you see where we were with that beta run all the way now. We've developed the interest. We've got guys like Jesse James and Comic Book Shopping Network that are interested in throwing in sponsorship and being a part of everything. It is, I mean, it's phenomenal, and it's just going to keep getting better, guys. This show's going to be amazing. The next one's going to be better. Thanks for watching Retailer Roundtable, guys. We will see you all next week.
Smell your comic.